Greetings, greetings. Time for Algebra 2 again. Today is section 1.6, and we're going to talk about the absolute value and inequalities. Now, we did talk about inequalities last time, so we're going to add in absolute value. Quick reminder, absolute value of 4 is just 4. The absolute value of -4 is 4. The definition of absolute value is just the distance from 0. Okay, both of these have a distance of 4 from 0. If I change up the inside of this a little bit, and you think, okay, this has to be either 5 or -5, just like this was 4 or -4, I can set up two equations. 2x minus 1 equals 5, and 2x minus 1 equals -5, and then you solve it as normal. So adding 1, 2x equals 6, x equals 3, and over here 2x equals -4, x equals -2. And then if you want to put that on a number line, if it says to graph, so you put a dot there and you put a dot at -2. So that would be how you solve an inequality. And remember, there's always going to be two answers, two ways to do that. Let's try another one with a little more added in there. 3 times absolute value of x plus 2 minus 1 equals 8. Now they call these absolute value bars. They're like prison bars and nothing can get through it. So we do not distribute that 3. It cannot go in there. Partly because we don't know if that's the positive or the negative inside there yet. So how do we know what to multiply the 3 by? But the absolute value bars are like prison bars. You can't get through it. So instead, we're going to get that alone. So 3x plus 2 equals 9. Then we're going to divide by 3. And now we're back to a simple problem where we can do 2. X plus 2 equals 3. X plus 2 equals -3. So x equals 1 and x equals -5. Okay. Now, let's try another one. Let me get to the next page. Two absolute value, or two things in the absolute value. And we have two x's though, so this is going to be a little bit different. So we still set it up. One's positive, one's negative. So 3x plus 2 can be positive 4x plus 5, or 3x plus 2 can be negative 4x plus 5. We don't know which one it is. So I'm going to treat this the same as I normally would. So 2 equals x plus 5. So x is -3. And then over here, I have to distribute that negative and then add in, or add to both sides. So I have 7x plus 2 equals -5. I want to subtract 2, so I get -7. And that would mean x is -1. Now because we have an extra x out here, you need to check the answers. I'm going to put -3 in up there, so I get 3 times -3 plus 2 equals 4 times -3 plus 5. So that makes -9 plus 2 in the absolute value, which would be -7, which would be 7 on the left. On the right, I have -12 plus 5, which is -7. So these are not equal. So that means this gets thrown out. It's like a phantom answer. And it's all because there are two possibilities, and with an extra x outside, we never know for sure which one's going to work. Let's try it with the -1, make sure this one works. So put in a -1 for the x, and then a -1 for this x. So I get -3 plus 2, which is -1, so that's 1. And this is -4 plus 5, which is also 1. So that's a good answer. We like that answer. Okay, so when you have that extra x in there, you have to check your work. All right, so now that you know how to do these with absolute value with equal sign, let's try one with an inequality sign. All right, so inequalities act a little bit differently because we have less thans and greater thans, and then when the negative gets involved, remember when you divide by a negative, you have to flip it around? Well, that's what we're going to have to do here. So the first set, you write it like normal. The second equation, you flip it and change the sign. So flip it and change the sign of the other side. And then it's just back to normal. I'm going to add 1 to both sides and then divide by 2. So there's one answer. Here I'm going to add 1, so I get -4, divide by 2, and I get -2. Okay, let's graph this real quick. Here's 0, here's 3, here's -2. Open at -2, and we're going to shade to the right. Here we have open at 3 and shade to the left. That means we're going to have just the points in between. So what we can say is less than, okay, that symbol, less than or equal to even, is you're going to shade between the answers. Okay, so if you want a shortcut, the less than is the between. So that means the greater than is going to be shaded split. So 1 to the left and 1 to the right. So, so it will look something like here, it'll look like that. And actually, we're going to do one right now, so hang on tight. Let's try one of those greater than. So I have 2x plus 4 greater than or equal to 6. So you first write it out like normal. The second one you write out, you have to turn that around and then make it -6. So I'm going to subtract 4. Then I'm going to divide by 2. Here I'm going to subtract 4 and divide by 2. Now I didn't divide by negative, so I don't flip that around. Graphing, here's 0, here's 1, here's -5. Greater than or equal to 1, greater than is to the right, less than or equal to 5, shade to the left. So you can see that it's split the way you graph that. Okay, well that's it for chapter 1. So we'll talk about maybe a test coming up in class a little bit later. And ta-ta for now. See ya.